Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
One moment.
Okay, try that.
Let's try this. Oh, that's much better. Much better. Good morning. Welcome to the June 5th Ways and Means Subcommittee Budget Hearing. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Argenzio?
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna?
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky? Absent. Councilor Zambudo? Absent. And Chairman Cogliandro?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
Thank you all for being here this morning. We're trying something new this year. I appreciate your support on this. We are going to take a couple of departments that have reached out first, and then we're going to just go from the top of the budget down. But before we begin that, we're going to have a brief presentation from the CFO.
Good morning. All right, I did a brief presentation for the benefit of the council and the public. Wait for Asher to put it up. Next slide. Good morning. So before you is a presentation that I typically give before every budget submittal, and it is, I'll try to go through it rather quickly, but this budget is submitted in conformance with the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. We participate in their Distinguished Budget Award program each year. You'll see the slide here that gives you a little information on what that entails, but I'm happy to say that City have received the Distinguished Budget Award for the last 12 years, from fiscal year 14 to fiscal year 2025. The budget before you is in the same format that we will submit 90 days after acceptance for consideration for the 2026 Distinguished Budget Award. Next slide. So the budget's set up to act as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communication device. Like I said, the final budget is due to the GFOA 90 days after it's adopted by this legislative body, anticipated to be June 23rd, and we will submit the budget for the GFOA Budget Award. Next slide. Fiscal year 2026, the budget is broken down in the same format. Revenues first is the property taxes, local receipts, state aid, other financing sources, and enterprise fund revenues, and the expenses are broken down in the format of general government, public safety, education, public works, human services, culture, recreation, debt service, fixed costs, and enterprise funds. This order follows the order of operations as prescribed by the Department of Revenue. Next slide. Fiscal year 2026, the city is estimating $126.3 million of tax revenue. It's the city's primary source of revenue, with over 50% of the total general government revenues come from property taxes, 75.7% from the residents, and 24.3% from commercial, industrial, and personal property. We shift taxes to the maximum of 1.75, which is a 75% shift from residential to commercial. We're estimating, well, not we're estimating, but we get $3 million in new tax levy growth per Proposition 2.5, and our projected new growth for fiscal year 2026 is $2.9 million. We'll call it $3 million, with estimates in future years of $4 million, $5.7 million, and $6 million over the next 3 fiscal years, respectively. Next slide. With local receipts, we are estimating that the city will receive $23.5 million in local receipts. That's an estimate increased by 5% from fiscal year 2024. Some examples of local receipts are motor vehicle excise, which we're estimating at $7.4 million for fiscal year 2026. Room excise at $3.8 million. Meal excise at $1.2 million. License and permits at $3.7 million. Investment income at $2.4 million. That's just an example of some of the local receipts that come in. Again, $23.5 million is the estimate. With these estimates, before the next council meeting, we are going to propose several increases to the fees to help offset any further reductions in expenses, including we're taking a look at departmental fees, license permit fees, parking violations, and the like. We're finalizing that report for your consideration. But there are some anticipated increases in fees and violations that will support the local receipts for fiscal year 2026. Some of these fees haven't increased in 10-plus years, and that's one way to generate a little bit more revenue for the city without cutting deeper into departmental budgets. So we'll discuss that at the 23rd meeting. Next slide. The last state aid numbers that we have right now are $123.6 million. That's what's so-called cherry sheet revenue, which is the state revenue that we get from the Commonwealth year over year. Biggest number in that local aid is Chapter 70, which is direct funding for schools. The Chapter 70 number is anticipated to increase 4.9% up to $107.2 million. The side the local government gets, unrestricted general government aid, last figures is UGA increasing by 2.2% from 12.7 to 12.9 million. However, the latest Senate budget numbers actually eliminates $251,000 of our local share of race and tax. So make sure you call your representative and remind them that the city should get their local share of race and tax. But that $251,000 essentially level funds local receipts for the city. So schools are going to get $5 million, and the city is essentially getting no additional revenue from the Commonwealth this year, which is unfortunate. Next slide. So our enterprise funds is total enterprise revenue is expected to be $36.3 million. The majority of that revenue comes from our water sewer enterprise. Water sewer enterprise fund is 100% supported by the rates. Over the past several years, the cities have used $2.5 million in ARPA funds, as well as stabilization and retained earnings to maintain a 3-year rate structure of 4.25%, which we've used for the last 3 fiscal years, fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. So for fiscal year 2026, it's proposed that the city increase its water and sewer rates by 9.7% to cover all the costs of running the enterprise fund without using one-time revenues. We do have a reserve of $500,000 in the budget as a placeholder, as a contingency if that 9.7% increase in the rates is not quite enough per Department of Revenue. As you may know, Department of Revenue is the final say on our recap and our budgets. We do the budget now in June, so we can have appropriations in July, but when we set the tax rate for fiscal year 26, they do their review, and if the revenues aren't where they're supposed to be, they may require some additional appropriations to cover those costs, but we're hoping that the 9.7% covers all the costs and kind of gets us back to pars with regard to using any of the one-time revenues that we've used in the past to stabilize those rates. Debt service and MWR assessments are basically what drives that budget, and the plan is to do a multi-year rate strategy analysis for fiscal year 26 to develop strategies for future years. Next slide. Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, expected revenue of $390,000. As most of you know, solid waste operation is heavily subsidized by the tax rate. The tax dollars at $4.25 million. The revenue that's generated from solid waste is essentially from bulky item fees, enforcement of trash ordinances, and investment income we make on that particular operation. We are looking at fee increases on enforcement and bulky items to increase some of the cost of revenues that will offset the cost of solid waste collection and disposal. We do have a new initiative for 2026 where we are going to introduce composting into the community, and that is supported by a $25,000 grant from Wind Waste that's hopefully expected to reduce the cost of solid waste by diverting some of that composting from the trash into composting. That is the revenue side. Next slide, we'll start with the expenses. And this will be a brief overview, and all the departments here can discuss their individual departments. But for fiscal year 2026, general government is expected to spend $9.4 million. That's an 11% reduction from 2026. However, normalized, it's a 1.7 million percent reduction because last year we did have $1 million salary reserve in the mayor's budget, which is no longer needed since all the union contracts are settled. Everybody's respective budget has their costs in line with the collective bargaining agreements that were settled over the past fiscal year. Departments include mayor, city council, city clerk, elections, finance, legal, and Department of Planning and Community Development. There's been some reductions and some reorganizations in the department, and I will let departments talk about that as they come up. Next slide. For public safety, that's basically our police, fire, our 9/11 operations, parking department, inspectional services department, and that budget is expected to be $33.9 million, we'll call it $34 million. That will be uniform police officers budgeted at $112. That'll be a uniform firefighters budgeted at $119. We did see a regional 9/11 budget decrease due to some increased grant revenues that offset the expenses. And inspectional services and parking, like I said, are within public safety budget. Next slide. Education, biggest department in the city. Revere Public Schools is estimated budget to be at $131.5 million. That is funded at the net school spending minimum requirement as adjusted per our Schedule 19. Schedule 19 is the memorandum of agreement between the city and the schools regarding methodology for arriving at annual school committee budget appropriation. So there's some costs that we absorb on behalf of the school, and there's some shared costs that are all fleshed out through Schedule 19, and we can certainly go through that exercise next Tuesday with the schools. It's worth noting that the student transportation budget is set at $9.7 million. That's a 5% increase from the fiscal year 2025 budget. We do have a fund that we set up a couple of years back with the council and the school committee that is for reimbursements of transportation costs via the state, and that's for special education students and homeless transportation. That money was building up a surplus in the fund, and for fiscal year 2026, we are using some of that balance to offset the cost of student transportation with longer-term strategies to be discussed about overall student transportation between the schools and the city. For those who don't know, minimum net school spending does not include student transportation. It's a cost absorbed by the city. And this particular year, with the rising costs, it was pretty much unsustainable at the figure that was being asked. So we had to dip into our special revenue account over there to offset the cost. But there's going to be some long-term strategies talked through about busing and how that works with regard to student lottery and high school transportation, et cetera. Next slide. The other educational expenses, the cost of the North Shore Regional Vocational School, what we call the VOC. That budget is $3.3 million for fiscal year 2026. It consists of the operating budget, which is $2.3 million. That is up 4.61% from fiscal year 2025. And the capital budget is increased by 21% to $1.3 million. I think most people know, but the VOC is also in the process of building a new high school. Revere is the largest member unit of the vocational school at 20%. So essentially, we pick up 20% of the net budget for the construction of the high school. That number was scheduled to be about $1.8 million, but looks like the VOC had a pretty good fiscal year 2025, by which their free cash, which is called excess and deficiency, was certified at a number that was exceeded the most that they can actually keep for themselves. So $500,000 of E&D money for fiscal year 2026 was used to essentially buy down the cost of debt for fiscal year 2025. So that number is scheduled to be about $1.8 million when it's fully constructed. Next slide. Public Works Department is a $4.9 million budget for fiscal year 2026. You will see in Department of Public Works, we have reorganized that budget a little bit to have administration and non-administration laborers pooled together in one budget. So what was used to be open space and facilities and highway department have all been kind of rolled into one administration line and then one non-administration line for the labor. So essentially, that department will work as one unit, and duties will be delegated as such by the superintendent. Snow and ice budget sits on the Public Works. That is a separate budget, will remain separate. And then the two enterprise funds also fall on the Public Works, which is our solid waste enterprise fund and our water and sewer enterprise fund. There's been some reductions in the FTE count at DPW due to some budget constraints. We do have some efficiencies that we realized through the integration of the water and sewer billing system to our Munis accounting system. And we do have some efficiencies through our census data system, which is our radio reads throughout the city for our water rates. And we've also implemented some time and attendance technologies that is reducing time and effort from the entire staff. So you'll see some decreases in FTEs in that department when it's deliberated. Next slide, please. Department of Health and Human Services is budgeted at $2.2 million. That's a 9.2% reduction from the fiscal year 2025 budget. Within the Health and Human Services Department, you have Public Health, Elder Affairs, Veteran Services, and they'll all be before you today to speak of their respective budgets. Next slide. Next department is the Culture and Recreation, budgeted at $2.1 million. That's a 2% decrease from fiscal year 2025. Departments under Culture and Recreation are the Library, the Parks and Recreation Department, House Health and Wellness Center, and Workforce Development, Labor Relations. I believe we'll have all those departments, except the Library, before you today to talk through their particular budgets. Next slide. Debt service for fiscal year 2026, $9.8 million. That's a fixed cost. That's 6.5 increase from fiscal year 2025. Basically, what's driving that is the new general fund debt that has been added with the fire station. Second half of that $15.2 million project is $6.9 million that we bonded during fiscal year 2025, as well as our portion of the Beach 1 school boiler replacement, which was part of the MSBA's Accelerated Repairs Program, which we got a significant, I believe, 70% reimbursement from the state. On that cost was $700,000, and that is also on the books for fiscal year 2026. Now, future debt service to consider, new high school, as you may have heard, we have reduced that budget from $493 million to $483 million at the school building committee level. So we did reduce that budget by $10 million. The city is about to borrow $75 million in temporary bond notes to begin payments of the high school construction. Right now, it's in the design and development stage. I think there's been some misinformation out there that people think we're borrowing $75 million to keep the doors open. That is untrue. $75 million is basically temporary debt, so we can pay for the high school as construction goes along. Ultimately, we'll bond in full the entire amount, but we won't do that until the high school's done. So we'll be borrowing temporarily to pay the bills and get our reimbursements from the state. So for everybody watching out there, we're okay. We're not closing the doors without this debt authorization. Future debt service to consider as well. The high school is kind of the lion's share of it, but we are doing a McKinley renovation that is going to be the future home of some school departments, early childhood care, as well as the 9/11 call center will be moving there, hopefully with the third dance and partner in Chelsea, Massachusetts. That comes with it a lot of bond grant revenue to help construct that. And it looks like the rest of the building will be used for municipal purposes once completed. And as probably everybody knows here, we are in the process of redoing the McMacken Field, and that is underway. Those are the largest general fund debt service things coming up in the future. Next slide. State assessments, that's a separate category on your budget. While you don't vote for that, I just thought it would be good to know that the state gives us money, and the state also assesses us money. They are assessing us $21.1 million for fiscal year 2026, which is a 13.3% increase. Lion's share of that is school choice and charter school at $13.5 million. You can see that went up 17.3%. Retired teachers' health insurance, they are part of the GIC. That money is accounted for through the state cherry sheets, and that went up to $2.67 million, which is an 18.5% increase. So while you may not be voting on those budgets, those are real numbers, and those have to be contemplated while we build the overall budget. Right now, the schools pay 90% of that retired teachers' health insurance through the Schedule 19, and it's scheduled to go up to 100% beginning next year. So it is a cost absorbed by the schools, but it is a cost to them, and they have to maneuver within their budget to address those increased costs. MBTA assessment is $4.4 million. We do pay the MBTA for the service they provide in here. I believe that part of the student transportation conversations will be addressing, trying to work with the MBTA to see how they can help transport the kids back and forth, especially when the high school is at Wonderland, and there's a lot of access from all the endpoints for the bus and train system there. So, like I said, these are not appropriated by the council, but listed for your benefit. Next slide. Other fixed costs, these are basically fixed costs that pretty much drive the budget. Our biggest fixed cost is our health insurance cost. I don't think it's a secret that health insurance is going up everywhere. Our health insurance is going up 17% for our HMO and our PPO plans, which is basically the majority of the cost of our health insurance for our active employees and our retired employees that are under 65. Our retired MedEx plan is increasing by 4%, and our managed bill for seniors increased by 3.4%. Those are for retirees that are 65 plus years of age. The long-term agreement between the city and the PEC, which is basically all the union heads, we're organized through Section 19 of Mass General Law, and that's how we negotiate our health care benefits. We did agree to a 9-year deal in fiscal year 2024 that will run through fiscal year 2033. So it's essentially a 9-year deal that really doesn't do anything with plan design or premium-based plans like the GIC, but essentially what happens is every 3 years, the burden of the cost shifts 2.5% to the employee from the employer. So we're at 77.5, 22.5, which will go to 75, 25, and then ultimately 72.5, 27.5. So while that helps the city budgetarily, it really does nothing to help us control the overall cost of health care. Some of those items were discussed through the PEC negotiations, and we're keeping an eye on the costs. We're having a particularly bad year this year. Costs are exceeding expenses by $3 million at this point. So if that fund balance erodes and we're self-insured, we may have to start talking about different alternatives to control the cost of health care. But 17% was a really tough number for us to deal with this year, and a lot of that drove the budget decisions that were made. Next slide. Property and casualty insurance, another kind of budget buster. Being a coastal community here is very challenging. Getting getting premiums on our property and casualty has been difficult, and as such, our increase is scheduled to be 16% for fiscal year 2025, up from $1.3 million to $1.5 million. In our retirement assessment, that's the cost of pension obligation to all of our retirees, $17.5 million. That assessment is bound by the funding schedule per PERAC, which is the Public Employee Commission, and their actuary. So again, a fixed cost that we pay every year until we're fully 100% funded. We're expected to be there by fiscal year 2034. Right now, we are at 70% funded, which actually triggers a cost of living increase from $13,000 to $14,000 for the retirees. So at the next meeting, after the retirement board votes it, we'll bring it before the council for passing for fiscal year 2026. Next slide. Again, water and sewer enterprise costs, $32.8 million. Salaries at 1.7, expenses at 1.3. That's kind of the local share of the water and sewer enterprise fund as our DPW operations go. And again, $30 million is pretty much the short and long-term debt of the enterprise fund, as well as the assessments for water and sewer from the MWRA. The 9.7 increase is actually needed to catch up on any rate increase deferrals. So it's not so much that the cost went up 9.7%, but the revenues need to adjust with the cost, because over the last 3 years, between ARPA funds and reserve funds, we've used $9 million of one-time revenue to stabilize those rates, and that is not sustainable, unfortunately. So 9.7 is what we need to get par back with revenues equaling expenses, and that should align for the future usage. So we're hoping we don't need those type of increases every year, but we certainly need to catch up to fiscal year 2026 expenses. Next slide. Solid waste enterprise budget, $4.8 million. Salaries and expenses on our DPW side equal about $500,000. Contracted services drive the cost of solid waste, including the collection of trash, collection of recycling, disposal of trash, and disposal of recycling. We do have some recycle initiatives proposed for fiscal year 2026 to help increase recycling, to remove some of that from our solid waste disposal, as well as the composting initiative that I spoke of earlier. Next slide. Other financing uses, again, these are things that are required by Mass General Law, but you don't necessarily vote on them. The largest of that is the overlay account, which is the allowance for abatements and exemptions. Most of the abatements that we give are statutorily for veterans and seniors, blind, surviving spouse, stuff like that. I believe we pretty much maxed out all the statutory abatements and exemptions that are allowable. We did implement a senior work-off program, and that senior work-off program is also funded through the overlay account. We do have one offset receipt on the cherry sheet, and that's direct money that goes to the library. That's $153 million. So since that's part of the revenue number, we have to pull it back out in the expenses, because that is directly cherry sheet money that goes to the library. And our snow and ice deficit is zero right now, because, as you know, you've voted appropriation to make that zero for the close of fiscal year 2026. Almost there, everybody. Next slide. So essentially, what you have before you is a $309,608,179 budget. Revenues equal expenses. The budget is balanced before you. So the mayor and the departments, we had a pretty rough year meeting with departments and getting these expenses in line with revenues. We believe it's a responsible budget, realistic revenue estimates, and based upon currently known information. And on behalf of the mayor, I would strongly recommend you pass the budget as submitted. One last slide here, and I'll close it out, and I'll let the mayor speak really quickly. Next slide, Ashley, please. So what are the challenges ahead? We're trying to build financial capacity to fund a new high school. There's no appetite for a debt exclusion in the city. The development is definitely key, and a key component in funding this new high school within confines of Prop 2.5. Sorry, I see a typo on that presentation. We're going to explore all options to increase revenues, find new recurring revenues, and keep spending in line with our forecasts. That's the plan, to kind of keep this high school within Prop 2.5 limitations. We have student transportation costs, as I spoke of. We got some short-term solutions, but we need some long-term strategies on that. Health insurance costs, we're going to try to explore all options on stabilizing those rising costs to provide quality health insurance to our employees and our retirees. Our ARPA funding is set to expire in 2026, so that those committed funds are already accounted for in this budget. And of course, the economy, bond interest rates, inflation, and tariffs continue to be a challenge. Thank you. Any questions? And let the mayor speak.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Honorable Council. I just wanted to thank CFO Visquet for presenting this today. And as mentioned, we're very confident in what we put in front of you. I'm excited to see our department heads perform. I know that this is a great opportunity for them to explain their roles and what it takes to run their departments throughout the entire year. As mentioned, we put out a very responsible budget. The real challenges are all fixed costs, things like insurance, and we all know that those are things that are really out of our control. We did a very good job with our department heads to make sure that our controllables were very much kept in control. You can see in a lot of those departments there were actually reductions in expenses, which is really abnormal over the last dozen of years, because we had to offset the uncontrollables. But outside of that, again, we're very confident in what we put in front of you, and we look forward to your conversations and communication. And if you have any questions, Rich is going to answer all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we start with the departments, does anyone up here have questions for the CFO or the mayor? Councilor Argenzio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you and the school building committee, the mayor, and Mr. Viskey for the vote the other night on cutting the budget $10 million. I think that was a great first step, and congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna?
Thank you. This is for Rich. Are we still going to be using CDM Smith for the water and sewer renovations? Are we going to use, we're going to do a lot of it in-house?
I would probably defer that question to Chris and Nick on
Okay.
who we're going to use. I mean, I know their services are still needed, and I know that we have not been signed off on the consent decree, but I know that Chris just met with DEP this week and may have some more information to provide on exactly what the game plan is long-term.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleague to the right's comment about the $10 million cut, but without being derogatory, I'd say that's a good first step, not nearly where we need to go, and I'm still, you know how I feel about where we stand with this. And I wouldn't want to be in your position 3 years from now coming up here and telling us how we're going to afford it, but that's a whole nother story. So 10 million is a good first step, but it's only a drop in the bucket. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. So one of my concerns is the fact that we're not going to be getting reimbursement from the MSBA until the MEPA process is over. Is that one of the reasons we're going to be borrowing $75 million? No, it has nothing to do with that?
Rich can explain more in depth. We will begin reimbursements actually sooner than we were expecting. I know that at the beginning there was some potential delays, but we were going to have to do short-term bonds regardless. We may be doing a little bit of a larger short-term bond, and then this will be in phases. So that MEPA process is set to be wrapped up in August, and we have actually, the MSBA has actually been helpful in allowing us to submit our invoicing and our work orders, basically, so they have them queued up to be reimbursed very quickly. So the hopes is, I believe, around October, we'll start to receive reimbursements on our spend.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, let's get started. Just a reminder to everybody, we have the budget, we have your goals, we have your mission statement. So if you just want to stick to budgetary items, and the council is going to do the same thing with their questions as well. We're not going to be asking you about sidewalks or anything like that. So we are going to get started with the solicitor office. Mr. Capizzi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for modifying the schedule and also for proposing this new approach to department head budget meetings. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
My budget is pretty straightforward. I'm also, the License Commission budget is also within my purview, which is even smaller. I'm content with everything here. We've tightened our belt a little bit. I see no real challenges financially. So you can all look at it yourselves. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. Do any councilors have questions in regards to the solicitor's budget? By the way, this is section 2, page 29 it begins on. Any questions from the council? I'll give them one moment to find it.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor Argenzio.
Yeah, so, Mr. Capizzi, it seems like everything is level funded. You haven't changed the number of employees.
No.
Nothing's changed, really. The line item for $25,000 for settlement, do you feel that's enough money, or? it's
We've been
never-
able to make that work. I've been working very well with and Rich may want to comment more on this, with the auditor's office.
Okay.
Obviously, you could give me $100 million in that budget. And if I want to pay everybody else who wants to bring a claim against the city, sure, the money can go somewhere. But we've been doing a really good job at
Oh,
kind
good.
of maintaining that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Essentially, we treat that a little bit like the snow and ice budget. We'd hate to budget too much and cause harm to other budgets, but typically, if we do have a settlement, it's something that's required by law to pay,
Right.
whether it's funded or not through the tax rate, but usually if that budget exceeds the budget that was adopted in, like, for instance, 2025 this year, we'll address some of that with year-end transfers to true that up.
Good. And you have some insurance, too, in case something...
We are insured for claims brought internally.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're self-insured for everything else. I mean, employee claims we're insured for. All other claims we're self-insured.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? All right, so we'll wrap up the Solicitor's Office, and while you're here, sir, why don't we take up page 38 for the License Commission? Any questions in regards to that? Or anything you want to share, Mr.
That's the very tiny budget. No, I wouldn't want to waste your time unless you actually have serious questions.
Counselors, any questions? All right, moving on. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we're going to take parking up next. Parking is Section 2, page 72.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Ways and Means Subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight, and moving up a little earlier. I appreciate the assistance. So looking at the budget, it's pretty level funded, but we were one of the departments that found some cost savings, both through our permit issuance. We were able to cut our permit issuance program by 60% this calendar year, as well as moving some full-time equivalent employees into a part-time role. It allowed me to actually add more staff while continuing a good structured environment of enforcement. It allows me to balance schedules when people are off or vacations, a little overlap, to continue to be out there to do what we do. And that's pretty much it. We've added the LPR technology, and we have subscriptions across. You'll see some slight decrease in salaries, increase in expenses. The expenses are really to run the LPR system, and we're hoping to buy a second unit next year with your blessing to continue to be more efficient and improve what we do as a department. Be happy to answer any questions anyone has regarding the budget.
Thank you, sir. Any counselors have questions? Counselor Argenzio?
Thank you, Mr. Babu. The school crossing guards, is that something that the city has to pick up a cost 100%? Does the school contribute to that at all?
I'd leave that question for Mr. Visca.
In prior years, the city, well, to answer your question, the city has always picked up the cost of crossing guards. It was netted out through Schedule 19, but a couple of years back, through discussions with the school department, it seemed kind of silly that that was buried in Schedule 19, and the duties were overseen by school department. We transferred over to Mr. Barbo here and the parking department, which some of the synergies of his staff actually help cover if there's a vacancy or an emergency call-in. Some of the parking staff will ultimately fill in for a day or two, but yeah, we've put all the costs now within that budget, so there's no more netting, and we think it's a little more transparent way of budgeting for the crossing
very
guards.
much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? All set, Mr. Babo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, so, members of the subcommittee, we're going to start right from the top. Section 2. Actually, is there anyone else in here with time constraints like the first two departments? I know you probably all want to get out of here now, but actually, let's see. We have people here right now that that showed up, so I would be apt to try to get them moving. Let's go Election Commission. Start from the left and go to the right. Election Commission is Section 2, page 35. Good morning.
Good morning. Excited to be here for my first budget in front of all of you. This year, I tried to keep everything, the same as it was last year for as much as I could. You'll see some of the only increases that I had originally put in for is it's a municipal year, so the city's responsible for purchasing ballots, opposed to state election years where the state covers the cost. So that was the extra of why I had tried to increase our, which budget is that? Printing and mailing budget. I did ask to add a little more into postage, just going off of what we had spent in this fiscal year. I think we were already at about 21,000, and we still had the confirmation cards to send out. So that was why I asked for the little increase there. The election supplies, originally that was for our poll pads, but thanks to you guys, we already secured the funding for that, so we didn't need that. We did cut down on our rentals costs. We switched the storage company that we use, so we cut that cost by almost $500 a month. So we were able to lower that. All of our staffing pretty much stayed the same. So we're trying to keep everything as level as possible.
Thank you very much. Any counselors have questions? No questions. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Assessor? Assessor is section 2, page 23. Good morning.
Morning, councilors. Generally, overall, you'll see a reduction in our overall budget. That's due mostly to a reduce in staff. We had a long-time principal clerk who retired after 35 years of service to the city. We have chosen not to fill that position, although it will be a challenge to fill that void in the shoes of that clerk. We are confident that we'll be able to maintain the level of service to the residents that we have in the past, even without that position being filled. And just here to take any other questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Any counselors have questions? Counselor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess this is a sensitive question. I know the mayor has a policy now of trying not to fill positions. Was this one you eagerly went along with, or was dragged?
I would say I don't think any department head would eagerly be willing to give up a staff member. Again, I think it's it's going to be a challenge, but we are pretty confident that we'll be able to fulfill the services to the residents. And again, we're migrating to more automated systems every day, right, with technology, and we're rolling out more services online that everybody's able to do. We have a lot of our services online now, so we're able to be more efficient with our time. So it will be a challenge, but we're up for a challenge.
That's why you're a good department head and a good representative of the city.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council?
Yes.
Counselor Agenzio.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brangiforti, for coming. I noticed the revaluation, that line item doubled this year. What's the...
Sure. Every 5 years, we have a full revaluation, and then every 10 years, the state requires us what they call a full list and measure. So we have to actually go out and measure every single property in the city and attempt to get in and inspect the properties.
Okay.
So in the past, I've been part of 2 of those, being here for almost 20 years. In the past, we contracted that out to a third party, and it was an extreme cost. So several years ago, we were fortunate enough to create a position called a field lister, who now in turn does that for us internally. So he goes out every year, we split up the city, and he does those inspections, and we enter them in as we go. He also does building permits. So obviously, over the last several years, there's been an explosion of building permits. So he's been spending most of his time doing that. It's also a hybrid position, so he's in the office covering when we need coverage, and he's doing those inspections as well. So this full list and measure is coming up for fiscal year 28. So we have 3 years to get that done. We have over 15,000 parcels. So as you can tell, it's pretty difficult to complete that, with one person. So we do anticipate having to use the outside contractor for a small portion just to get us across the finish line. And again, with that reduction in staff, that field list is going to have to spend a little more time in the office. So we just want to make sure that we have enough in the budget to be able to contract out those services to get us over the finish line over the next 3 years. We didn't want to wait till the last fiscal year. We wanted to spread the cost out a little bit. So the difference here is about $40,000. If you put that out over 3 years, if it's consistent, you know, that's $120,000. For us to fully contract that out, it would be like $800,000. So we're still, you know, saving the city a significant amount by doing that in-house, and it's also a much better product because it's consistent. One person's doing it. You know, we have a much better product as opposed to getting a contractor. They do a good job, but they're doing it with 8, 9 different people. So there is a little bit of a variance. So we're definitely controlling that variance by having our one person, but we are going to need a little help to get it through the finish line.
All right, thank you very much. I'm all set.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? All set? Thanks,
Thank you.
Dan. Have a great day. Engineering? Engineering is Section 2, page 50. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning. If you look at the budget that's presented for engineering, you'll see that it's essentially identical to last year. We did lose some people, but we also gained some people, so our net change was 0. As far as operational budgeting goes, that's identical to the last year and the year before. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Rystrom. I noticed the infrastructure program manager last year, that was under your budget. That's been moved to water and sewer.
So the title, I believe, was also changed, but the position responsibilities aligns more with the DPW.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay, thanks. And I notice you have a part-time salary in here for $30,000. Is that for interns or? Okay.
There's a portion of that money that pays for the street opening permits. We have a part-time employee that performs that duty as well. So that $30,000 is meant to address some of those issues as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And how are you making out with the street paving? Do you, the financing for that? I know Chapter 90 is contributing to that. Do you have, how's that going along then?
So for this year, I think we're on target for what we had laid out to pave. The paving won't start to occur until after the 4th.
Okay.
But by then, all of the sidewalks and things like that will be done, so we should be able to get through it. But we're, again, on target as we had laid out earlier in the season.
Thank you. And at some point over the next couple of weeks, could you just send out an email with what streets are going to be paved?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
Councilor Mainworth, be worth noting that the administration at the state level has proposed an extra $100 million of Chapter 90 funding as well. So if that goes through, I think that realizes another $350,000 to the city. So hopefully we see that pass and we'll get some increased funding from the state with regard to Chapter 90 as well.
Great. Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Have a great day.
Thank you.
Purchasing. Purchasing is Section 2, page 16. Good morning.
Councilors. So, my tiny little department, we have not that much going on this year. We are pretty much level funded compared to last year's budget. You will see a new account for us, which is titled Rentals and Leases. That is to take care of like all the copy machines in the city. Every department except for the school department. About 9 months ago, we just coordinated all the copies into one contract, and rather than have every department pay for their own individually and me chase around all the invoices. I'm just getting all of their money now and paying that one invoice a month. So that's that new account.
Do any counselors have questions? Have a great day, sir. Infotech? This is page 19, section 2, page 19. Good morning.
Good morning. So the IT budget, it's before you, is fairly level service budget. I'm happy to answer any questions. Just as a quick reminder, the IT budget in general, we fund things like the telecommunications costs for the city, including internet and phones, software subscriptions that are predominantly used all across the city. So it's those types of things that the majority of this budget is consists of. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any counselors? Section 2, page 19. Information technology.
Mr. Chairman, yes, I got it. So you're down one employee from last year?
That's correct, our data analyst.
The data analyst, okay. Yeah, it looks pretty run-of-the-mill, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see you have a small travel allowance. What's that for, seminars or something?
Yes, training and seminars and things like that, yes.
Thank you. That's all I got.
All set. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Municipal inspections. Section 2, page 66. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Municipal inspections, pretty much level funded, same as last year. No employee reduction on the code enforcement side. Expense side, little reduction just due to changing the software for cost savings with the same results. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the council? Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. It looks like a lot of your salaries are paid from an other source. Could you explain that source?
Yeah, sure. Rich?
Sure. That is paid via the revolving fund for the 40U program, and that's the enforcement arm of municipal inspections. All the revenues generated from the 40U operation go into a special revenue account, and essentially it pays for the expenses of that operation. It almost serves as an enterprise fund, but we adopted that in the annual revolving fund for the 40U program, and a lot of the salaries are paid through that fund, as well as the expenses for retirement and health insurance and such. So,
Okay, and that fund is healthy enough to support all that?
yeah, that fund is healthy enough to support fiscally. Yeah, I think there's about $900,000 in that currently, and that keeps getting revenue and expenses. But yeah, that's we wouldn't put it in there if it wasn't.
Okay, thank you. And just one other thing, the small overtime account that you had for weekend inspections, what happens on weekends now, or if somebody has to get called out?
So the weekend inspection on here should be more under the building commissioner.
Okay.
Any overtime for code enforcement comes out of the 40U account.
Okay, thank you.
And just so you know, there was talk of scheduling weekend inspections with a fee. That was actually formally adopted as a revolving fund as well. So that revolving fund exists if and when we ever adopt a program where we schedule Saturday inspections for a fee, and we can pay the overtime cost to that. But any other overtime costs in the operation with regard to municipal inspections is also covered by the 40U account.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All set.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Have a great day, Mr. Wills.
Thank you.
Workforce development. This is page, section 2, page 104. 104. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members, Jerry Visconti. If you look at the budget, we are as pretty lean as can be. I think our expenses are all level funded, hasn't changed. And our salaries have all been put under other sources. Part of it, most of that being, part of that being grants that we apply for, that we utilize those grants for salaries and other sources. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Sure. So, Mr. Viscay.
Councilor Agenzio?
Oh, sorry. Mr. Viscay, there's no appropriated money here in this department. It's all through...
No, just the 17,000 for expenses. There's no appropriated money for salaries. They're all covered by either ARPA funds or grant awards that the department gets with regard to the program and they run. So no salary expense, just a very small $17,000 expense line for ancillary items like office supplies, et cetera.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor. President Silvestri? Councilor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, sorry. Can I ask Mr. Viscay a question? When do the ARPA funds run out?
ARPA funds have to be spent by December of 2026, so halfway through fiscal year 2027. So all programming money for ARPA funds has been committed with purchase orders and is out the door. And basically the runoff of the remaining ARPA funds are funding positions that will either be phased out or absorbed or funded through another source beginning in fiscal year 2027.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess this is to the CFO. I wish we could fund all the departments this way.
So do I.
Thank you, Councilor. President Silvestri?
Jerry, thank you very much. The microphone's not working here, so go ahead. I apologize.
It'll take a second to boot up. You might as well use Paul's. It's gonna boot up. Yeah, there.
New technology, sorry. Where's yours?
So Jerry, can you give us just some information on, or even if you do any of this, like working with the local unions to help support HYM, what you do to get into the schools with both RHS and the vocational to try to get union jobs filled?
Sure.
Are you working in conjunction with...
Councilor, I'm sorry. This is just for the budget. Maybe we're trying not to ask too many questions outside of the realm of financials, if that's okay.
I can quickly answer if you want, or if not, it's up to you.
Quickly, please. sir.
No
Thank you.
worries. All good. Yes, we have a process involved where we are working with a Youth Works grant that we supply job employment with City Lab. Actually, all the schools, all the high schools, meaning City Lab, Revere High School, as well as we've created a co-op program with Evoke as well. In terms of the jobs for, union jobs for Suffolk Downs and him, that is something that is being in the process, and myself and the administration will be reviewing that in terms of positions and Revere residents as well, which I believe will fall under my purview. If not, that's what I've been told.
Thank you. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors?
Okay.
Have a great day, sir.
Thank you.
Parks and Rec. And Mike, I assume you're going to do the wellness as well?
Yes.
Excellent. This is section 2, page 110, and the Wellness Center is directly after Parks and Recreation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Taking me a little bit early. Appreciate you accommodating me.
My pleasure.
Parks and Recreation. The This looks a little different than it was when I first stood up here 13 years ago. The department has expanded quite a bit, roles and responsibilities. So take a look at the new budget. It's pretty much level funded from last year. There has been, I think, one minor change around contract services. So.
Thank you. Any counselors have questions in regards to the Parks and Recreation? We'll do the Wellness Center separately. Any questions on Parks and Rec? Seeing and hearing none, let's move to the Wellness Center, which starts on page 113 of Section 2. Any questions on the Councilor Argenzio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hinojosa, for coming. And congratulations on hitting 2,000 members there at the Wellness Center.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I know last year there was a statement that 1,800 to 2,000 members would realize in total cost recovery. And I noticed that this year you're asking for the same amount of appropriated money as you did last year. Can you explain what may have happened there? Or?
The only appropriated money I think we're asking for is $85,000.
And
No, there's 175. So basically, we did level fund, Council, to answer your question. We level funded the budget. We just got the announcement that we hit 2,000 members recently. Right now, because the majority of this was funded through those ARPA funds as far as the build-out and operations for the first year or so, we account for that money within the ARPA fund because money generated from use of ARPA funds is required to go back to the fund itself. For fiscal year 2026, I anticipate at the next meeting we'll bring a revised ordinance to create a revolving fund for the Health and Wellness Center, which will fund during fiscal year 26, and it's our belief and hope that fiscal year 27 we'll be able to have a fully sustainable because we are still paying the full-time employees with ARPA funds as well. So as far as the $2,000 number being able to cover all costs, I'm not sure if we're at that yet, but we are doing financial analysis. So by the end of the fiscal year, we'll do an income and expense report and we'll forecast out what we're looking at for 26 with the hope that 2027 it's a fully funded operation via the revolving fund.
Okay, and the $175,000 for the part-time employees, they get a city check, but they don't get benefits?
That's correct, yeah. The full-timers are, I believe, 4 in total, and they are funded through ARPA funds. And the part-timers are the people that fill that. I believe we're open about 108 hours a week, Michael. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, yeah, that's the part-time salaries.
Okay, so the 4 main employees there are all ARPA funded, and that funding is scheduled to go to October, November of 26?
We're allowed to use it through December of 2026, fiscal year 27. So we have enough to run out those employees funded by it. But if it's deemed that it's fully operational and we don't have to use those ARPA funds, we can always default. Any leftover funds, we've kind of feel that we can put towards water and sewer infrastructure projects because the money we allotted for water sewer enterprise funding projects, the costs far exceed the amount we use from ARPA, so we can actually supplement more projects with the ARPA funds if we have the funds at the end of the run out. So right now, everything's encumbered with regard to projects, like the senior center's having the front ramp redone, we have some fire trucks on order, stuff like that. The purchase orders have been open, those funds are committed as far as federal reporting requirements. And the only thing that we're funding right now with the balance of ARPA funds are salaried positions because having a salaried employee is deemed to be committed because that position exists.
Okay, so if you save money on the salary side, you're able to take that salary side money and ARPA funds and move it to a project?
Yeah, as opposed to turn it back. I mean, the idea is they gave us the $30 million. We're not looking to give back a nickel of it, so we're going to try to use every penny of it.
Okay, and the utilities are paid by the DPW at some point, when everything pans out?
Yeah, I think right now what's being covered through the funds that are not yet revolving, but funded back through the ARPA fund at the cost of the lease, the triple net lease, which includes the rent, the insurance, the apportionment of taxes and such. We, even though we're a city operation, we can't abate on tax on a privately owned building, so we're paying the triple net lease and everything of that. And I believe there are some utilities and such that are paid through that particular fund. I think some of the utilities for electricity and such are through DPW, but internet services and other types of services are, I think, are being absorbed right through the operating costs that we're generating.
Okay. In the other expense line item, there's a footnote here, it's paid through the rec revolving account. Now, I got some information from the auditing office that account right now is in the red. And I know you pay a salary out of that revolving account?
I think, I don't think that, I'd have to check, if you give me, after the meeting, I can check the balance. I don't think we're in the red, I think we're in the black, but I think a lot of the rec revolving is timing and all of our summer activities are coming up, but Michael might have a more accurate statement on the current.
The information that Miguel sent me last week said it was, I think, 12,000 in the red, so I didn't know if
Yeah, that may be a snapshot, but yeah, I
that
don't think
person's salary would be affected or anything. There's a salary that comes out of that.
Yeah, we would, and, it's not like we would shut them off from salary if that goes in the red. I think we look at it more of a 12-month cyclical cycle as opposed to a snapshot in time there. So, like I said, some of those revenues aren't necessarily equally coming in through 12 months, so sometimes there's peaks and valleys in that particular fund.
Okay, so during the next few months, this money that is appropriated, that may change once you get your figures
I don't know
away.
I don't know if we'd come for a budget reduction, so to speak, but any funds, obviously, that are budgeted that we don't spend will go right to the bottom line when we close the books of next fiscal year. But right now, if we appropriate $260,000, that's what the budget would be. We don't typically come before you to reduce budgets, but if there's money that's not needed there, it will go to the bottom line of the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Paul, and I'm not sure what he gave you, but as of a week ago, we had a positive account of about 95,000 in the revolving account.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
take a look at that.
It might be
That's-
two separate accounts, too, so
Okay.
we'll dive into that and have the answer for the next budget meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll start with congratulations on the membership. I have to admit, I was a skeptic, and I was pretty vocal about it. I think I was wrapped up in the astronomical numbers that we were spending to remodel the building, and I was a skeptic that this was going to happen. So congratulations on that part. I guess my next question would be for the CFO is, do we expect, by the time the ARPA funds run out, ARPA funds or whatever, I never quite understood the acronym. All I knew was free money, and
American Rescue Plan Act.
it's gonna run out. And by the time this money runs out, do we expect this wellness center to be self-supporting?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other
That's all I have.
questions? Thank you very much, sir. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Have a great day, guys.
Health and Human Services? Lauren, will you be speaking for veterans and the Commission on
For
Disability?
public health and veterans, and I believe Elder Affairs is on the next day that you all are all meeting.
Yes. And what about Commission on Disability as well?
Yes, we can do
Perfect.
that one as
So
well.
everything but Elder Affairs?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So we'll start
I'm
with.
sorry. Health and Human Services begins, Section 2, page 89.
So we can start with public health. Our non-payroll expenses are level funded. Just make a quick point out for the line item for the AED maintenance, which is great. It's been on the budget for the last 2 years. It means that all of our city buildings have AEDs and they're inspected annually, which is great because it means they're able to be used. So in terms of our payroll expenses, public health has fluctuated every year that I've come up to do budget presentations based on programmatic needs of the city and the availability of grants. Two things that I just wanted to point out for this year. As you know, some of the school nurses have been on the public health budget for many, many years. This year we have 5 nurses, and I will say the Revere Public Schools has done a great job of filling any open school nursing positions with school side school nurses. So hopefully we will only continue to see a decrease in the number of school nurses on the city side year after year, which is a good thing because we want all the school nurses to be kind of on the same, under the same union, same expectations under the school. So that's a great thing. And then the last thing I'll point out for public health is just the addition of the grant program coordinator and grant manager for public safety. This reflects a bit of a reorganization in conjunction with the Revere Police for the behavioral health unit as we kind of move through availability of grants over the next year. And their work is tied very closely to the Substance Use and Homelessness Initiative's office as well. So it makes some sense to be put under me. And that's it.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions in regards to the Public Health Department? Councilor Argenzio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Buck. The move from Revere Street to City Hall, I thought that was going to shut that building down on Revere Street. I noticed that there's some activity still there.
Sure.
Can you explain to me what's happening there and if that's going to continue?
Yep. So it currently is mostly utilized by a nonprofit in the city called Health Innovations. They're a nonprofit that operates multiple programs, but one of them is a STD, STI, hepatitis screening program. That funding comes from the state, and that goes directly to Health Innovations as the nonprofit. They also run the city's syringe service program, which is a program, again, paid through by the state. Most cities have this program to help, again, reduce the incidence of communicable diseases that occur from dirty needles and all that kind of thing. We utilize the building on Fridays when our outreach workers do a showering program for our unsheltered homeless. So we are in there a couple of days a week, mostly Fridays, but we also utilize it as storage for any donations that come in through the office for people who are unsheltered homeless. So we utilize it kind of in conjunction with Health Innovations, but it is not the main office for the SUDI department anymore.
Okay, who pays the lease?
Health Innovations with a small supplement each month from us to help with utilities and to account for that day of the week that we're there.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? All right, public health is closed.
Okay, and moving on to veterans. The veterans is level funded for this year. The one thing that I just wanted to make sure is, as of this fiscal year, the official name of the department is going to be changing from Veterans Affairs to Veterans Service Office. The rationale behind this is it's a request from the department based on feedback from veterans that come use the office. It was a little confusing. Veterans Affairs is closely tied to the Federal Veterans Affairs Department, and so there was often confusion by veterans coming in. And so officially from here on out, it will be known as Veterans Service Office. Other than that, the department was level funded, and the reason I am speaking on behalf of it is we are in the process of hiring into the Veterans Service Officer position currently.
Thank you. I hope this is a typo, but you have the VSO listed as having 126.58 years of service with the city of Revere.
Yeah, I think that's a formula error. If we don't put a date in, if it's a vacant, sometimes it'll put that out, and we try to clean them up, but yeah, certainly an error.
All right. Any other questions? I think we're all set on Veterans Service Office. Let's move to the Commission on Disability, page 98.
Level funded, if there are any
questions about the Commission on Disability? Okay, and are you, I don't think you're going to do Human Rights Commission. That's also listed in there. Okay, then have a great day, ma'am. Thank you so much. City Planner? The page number is something I had in front of me. Sorry, section 2, page 47. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, councilors. Our budget's pretty straightforward over at TPCD. On the salary side, we've got a lot of our funds come from various grants. We have a grant from the Mass Gaming Commission that pays for staff time. We have a grant from MassDOT, as well as ARPA and CDBG. But for the most part, our staffing side is pretty well level funded, with the exception that, as Mr. Visquet noted, we are now taking on the grant writer, absorbing the grant writer into the department, which is pretty logical given the work that we do with grants every day in the office. We just submitted 8 grants yesterday, totaling over $5 million. So it's just part of what we do, and it's a logical transition. On the expenses side, we have a slight reduction, but otherwise more or less level funded. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Sorry, before Tom leaves, sorry, Tom, but we, there is a Conservation Commission that kind of falls under his genre. I don't know if we're going to have the chairman here, so it's a pretty small budget, but you may want to, if anyone has any questions on Conservation Commission, it might make sense to
Are there any
at least
questions?
give it your...
No problem. Any questions on the Conservation Commission? We can close that one, too.
Thank you.
I'd like to tell you to leave. I don't know if Rich is going to hop in and keep you here.
You can leave now, Tom.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Take
Have
care.
a great day, sir. Good morning.
Sure. Good morning.
So
No.
which departments are you representing today? And
I'm just here in case there are questions for Human Resources or 311, but also I'm just here to make sure that everybody showed up.
I see. All right. Hopefully the camera doesn't pan to the rest of the room.
Yes.
Well, I do want to thank the department heads that showed up, and I was happy to take them first. You said 311 and Human Resources?
Just in case there are questions,
Yep.
otherwise.
Why don't we take those up now?
Sure.
Okay, so let's see. That would be Innovation and Data Management?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so that is on Section 2, page 10. Section 2, page 10, Innovation and Data Management. Give the council a minute to thumb to that page. Does anyone have any questions for 311? Page 10, Section 2, page 10. Councilor McKenna.
Could you just tell me what a consumer advocate is?
Sure. So as you may remember, about 2 years ago, there was the Consumer Affairs Department that was situated on the 3rd floor of the Senior Center. And what we did is that we consolidated the Consumer Affairs Department and 311. So what we did is, as part of the grant that we get from the state to run that program, we still had to have an advocate, and that person is only dedicated to responding to any complaints that come through regarding Consumer Affairs Department.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, thank you.
Of course.
The Consumer Affairs Office, does that still service other communities?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And that's all grant money from the state?
Correct. Rich, is there any? Yeah, yes.
Yeah, in the past, when we had it as a separate department, it was always something that made me scratch my head, is that we kind of picked up a portion of that budget on behalf of 13 or 14 communities, but when we moved it and consolidated it with the 311 department, we made sure that all the costs of running that are covered by the grant, so there's no more supplemental appropriations. And then, just some of the efficiencies, but maybe off supplies, et cetera, but that is deemed to be a fully covered operation within the city.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions? All right, we're going to move on to Human Resources, which is page 7, Section 2, page 7. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Employee recognition, could you just tell me a little bit about that?
Sure, so part of it is the employee of the month that we are doing.
I saw that, yeah,
Mhm, yeah.
that's great, yeah.
Thank you. So pretty much the process is the department heads, we ask every department head to nominate an employee that they believe has gone way beyond from their actual responsibilities. But obviously, the main thing that we focus on is customer service. And obviously, it's part of our jobs, but we know there are some employees out there that are exceptional, and we want to make sure we continue to recognize that. Of course.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You may want to do the mayor's budget with Claudia as well.
I would love to do the mayor's budget with
Sure,
Claudia.
I should do my own office budget, right?
Page 4, everyone, section 2, page 4. Anyone have questions? This looks pretty lean.
I don't have any questions. It's, looks like it's pretty well level funded. The $1 million is gone because all the
The contracts are
the contracts
settled.
are all settled. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
All right, thank you.
I just want to start from the top, if that's okay. All right, you know what? Let's do the city clerk. She's very eager to talk about it. City clerk is section 2, page 32. Thank you, Mr. President. Section 2, page 32. So. Lots of cuts coming up, I assume.
Good morning, committee members. This is a level funded budget again, despite the rising cost of services and goods and supplies. We are still, making do with the amount given for office supplies. The salaries, there's a slight increase due to the contractual obligations for Unit B and the proposed salary schedule to be adopted by the City Council shortly.
Anyone dare have questions for the city clerk's department? Councilor McKenna.
I just would like to say thank you for everything that you do for the city council.
Councilor Zambudo.
I know you warned me not to throw bouquets at these meetings. However, I can't resist. We have the best city clerk in the state. I had a little something to do with her hiring since I've been here so long. And God rest his soul, George Colella and I led the charge for her. And it's the best hire we've ever done. And so I'm sorry I broke your rules.
Now that's twice you've been dishonest in your life, Tony. That's it. You snuck into a Beatles concert once. All right, we're going to close that city clerk department, and we're going to start right from the top of the budget now with the city council, which is on page 1. Does anyone have questions for the city council budget? I think Councilor Zambudo said it was just fine. I think he said that.
I have one question. Have we ever utilized the outside council? Yeah?
We actually, if I may, we did utilize it to get a second opinion on the job description of an acting mayor.
Okay.
That was
So we
the
just
last-
make a vote that we use our money to get a second opinion?
Yes, if I might.
Councilor
Mr.
Zambudo, yep.
It requires a vote of the city council to ever use that, but it's something that gives us some independence from, if we disagree with the solicitor or the mayor's office. It gives us, it helps us be an autonomous body, and in that case, we were overruled, but we were proved right in the end because the city has now hired that law firm in the latest negotiation on the TIF for Suffolk Downs. So that was, it gives us the opportunity to go to the real experts and challenge a ruling when we think that we're not being represented properly. So I think it's a good thing, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll close the city council. The next department will be the Chief Financial Officer and Auditing, starting on Section 2, page 13.
Good morning, everybody. I might just take a second to go off topic. My apologies. I know we're moving pretty rapidly, but I thought it was worth mentioning that hot off the press, we just, as I mentioned during the presentation, we're about to sell $75 million worth of bonds, and I'm happy to report to the council here that the Standard & Poor's rating agency has given us our AA rating. They confirmed our AA rating with a stable outlook, so that's pretty good news. We had 2 calls with S&P over the last 2 weeks, and they had a lot of questions about some of the development and some of the stuff going on in the city. And Chief of Economic Development and Chief Assessor Dana, myself, Mayor, and Claudia were involved with those calls. So that's good news. If S&P thinks we're a stable environment, would maintain our AA rate, and that should give us good rates on our pending sale. So,
Awesome.
thank you.
All right.
So, yes, hold on. Give me a second. I'll get to my budget now. I was trying to
Section
read that.
2,
They want
page
confirmation
13.
within 2 hours of their draft, so I got a few minutes, though.
Okay.
So hold on one second. Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, the CFO, auditor, and budget director, we're all kind of smushed into one budget. There's 5 full-time total, including myself. We've maintained a 5-person staff since we lost one staff member a couple of years back. We continue to do yeoman's work in that office with 5 people, and if they're watching, I want to thank them for their work. We did, like everybody else, feel a little bit of the budget pressures, and we have reduced our expense lines accordingly to try to essentially keep up with the salary increases through collective bargaining agreements and in city ordinance. We lowered our expenses by about $20,000. We think that we'll be able to maintain the services we provide with that cut. Again, like Dana said and others, no cuts are exciting, but we all have to feel the pain equally. But otherwise, it's a pretty level funded budget, and happy to answer any questions on that.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the CFO on the auditing department? Councilor Zambuto?
I just want to again publicly acknowledge and give my congratulations on the bond rating.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
For your benefit, I'm gonna handle all of the treasury and all the fixed costs as well, so I can
That's what I was going to
I
ask.
can buzz right through those. for you
If
as
no
well.
one has any questions, we can move to the treasurer's office. Yes, the treasurer collector is section 2, page 26.
Again, very similar to the CFO's budget. We have the treasurer collector operations, which is essentially 2 departments under one budget. We've been able to maintain our headcount for fiscal year 2026. If you look over the history, we add down, I think, 2 full-time equivalents since fiscal year 2023. So we continue to try to use technology and to our best ability to keep headcount low and create efficiencies within that. So for those who don't know, we've fully integrated all of our financial operations into the Munis accounting software system. So all of our utility billing, which is water sewer billing, all of our treasury operations, tax title, cash management, all under one umbrella of Munis. So took a lot of work, and IT department was actually very helpful in that as well. But we continue to try to find efficiencies where we could to keep our head count where it is. Again, we're at $309 million budget this year. We're probably about $500 million worth of cash in and out. Kathy and her staff do a tremendous job on that. We are looking to level fund that as far as a head count, and we did find some efficiencies. We've been merging bank accounts and trying to keep some of our contracted services low. We do have a lockbox system, which also helps us keep staffing levels low, but that contract service, when we adopted it, we weren't exactly sure where those numbers would come out, but we have a pretty good history now on that, so we're able to realize some savings in that contract service as well, but otherwise a level service fund budget, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions in regards to the Treasurer Collector Department? All right, thank you very much. The next department is the Zoning Board of Appeals on page 44. Any questions regarding that budget? Okay. I'd actually like to skip over to just Human Rights Commission, just to get that out of the way as well. That is page 101. They have one line item for, I think, $1,000 non-payroll. Any questions on the Human Rights Commission? All right, we will move forward from that. So, I know next in the budget is the public safety and DPW. Those are going to be on Tuesday. And we are going to move down to, I believe, the debt service would probably be next. We're going to go to section 2, page 118. And this is debt service.
Sure, this one's pretty straightforward. Essentially, these are fixed costs for principal and interest on our long-term bonds. And any short-term bonds, it's interest only, so you'll see the three categories: bonded debt, which is the principal portion, and then interest on short-term debt, which are any temporary bond anticipation notes that we have, and interest on long-term debt is the interest that correlates with the bonded debt above. We do have a few accounts that we use to offset the cost of debt. Lease of rental cars is using $150,000 of that, and school building debt service premiums of $100,000. We're using that to offset the total cost of the debt. We also, our new DPW facility is funded 50% through general fund debt and 50% through water and sewer debt. So we did net out the $285,000 and the $15,000 for their apportionment, and that's realized in the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund. But otherwise, these are fixed costs that total to the amount of fixed debt, which you can see in its own section in the budget, but happy to answer any questions otherwise.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you. Mr. Biscay, the water and sewer rate going up 9.7%. I assume that is generated a little bit from the money we borrow in water and sewer for all these projects. Has there been any thought to kind of curtail that borrowing a little bit to try and stabilize that rate for the?
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, I believe Chris Charamella yesterday met with the DEP and kind of asked him, like, when are we getting to this finish line here? And I believe 100% of our sewers have been lined now. And I believe that some of the I&I stuff is where we're at now.
Okay.
But I think the next phase is actually capacity issues that may or may not be the responsibility of the city, but more so through the MWRA. Okay. So it's a great question. I don't have a great answer, but I think we're at that point where those questions have to be asked. I know that there is $4 million bond authorization before you at the next meeting for, I think it's phase 15. Right. That was initially supposed to be a $12 million bond authorization. It's down to $4 million. Okay. I'm not the best person to speak in detail about the next phase of that. I think that's through engineering and our CDM consultants, but okay. I'd like to think so. I mean, obviously, if we can get a cap on that consent decree, we won't add, because even if we stop today, there's still projects that'll eventually have to come on and be funded through the water and sewer operations. But it would be nice to kind of toe the line and see where we end up. Otherwise, we've kind of moved on to water main replacement, so we've built in the budget, I think $3 million a year for water main replacement. We did use a whole lot of money, I think $7 million of ARPA funds to do a lot of infrastructure. It may not be the sexiest projects, but they're really, it's really something that's needed in the city with all the new sewer lines. Water is the next thing, but we are trying to keep pace with maintaining the infrastructure. It was kind of deferred for so long. We could probably spend another $100 million on water mains throughout the city, but I believe Chris and Nick can tell you more about the kind of long-term plan on different projects. I believe we're doing the under Broadway. We're doing some work on down the beach, the Harris Street, and that whole library area was all done. But I think we're shifting more towards water mains and trying to get out of the sewer and the SSOs and the consent decree.
Okay, thank you. And Miguel just clarified the rec revolving account, sent me more information, so thank you to him.
Thanks, Miguel.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, so that's debt service. We can move on to, we'll just go right into, I think, health insurance is next. Page 120. Section
Yeah.
2, 120.
Yeah, again, that's probably our biggest concern right now as far as the operating budget is the cost of health insurance. I touched on it during the presentation, but really got whacked this year, and I don't have all the reasons why, but I do hear that a lot of people are going to doctors for all the deferred operations and services that were not treated during the COVID season, and now the drug costs are really through the roof. These GLP-3 drugs are really surging the costs up there, and there's not much we can do. Like I said, we negotiated a deal with the PEC. We didn't contemplate changes in co-pays or deductibles or move into premium-based plans. We just kind of shift the cost from the employer to the employee, and that was voted by all the union members. So I guess they have they'd rather keep the premium plan and pay a little more than talk about modifications. But we did negotiate in that agreement that if the fund balance goes below 3.1 million in any fiscal year, it allows us to open up talks again. And we may hit that number this year. When we end fiscal year 2025, we're looking at a $3 million deficit. And what that'll do is if we have $7 million in retained earnings, let's say, in that fund, and if it goes to 4, we're still above 3.1, but the trend isn't good. So maybe this is just a phase that goes through and we start to level off again. But I don't have a lot of great answers on the cost of health insurance. I think everybody knows that it's a problem nationwide, and we're just part of the problem because we have a lot of employees and we have very rich plans. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions on the numbers.
Thank you, sir. Councilor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rich, how much, if we changed it to GIC, that's what I'm on, because I'm a retired school teacher, and stopped Blue Cross Blue Shield, do you, roughly, would you know how much the city would save?
I mean, not to hold me to it, I did
No,
that
I'm not
calculation.
gonna hold you
Several
to it.
years back, I did that calculation. I thought it could be a $4 to $5 million savings. Right now, the GIC has actually caught up to a lot of cities and towns. They've also had their own issues. You might have saw they ran out of money a couple of weeks ago. It was they had to get a supplemental appropriation from the governor, so they're struggling as well. I think everybody, all the healthcare providers are struggling. But I would. The thing about the GIC is they have a lot more choices in their plan. So we may have Coke and Pepsi, but they have, Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Sprite. So they have a lot more choices. So that kind of dispersion rate of what people would take would affect the savings. But I mean, it's definitely would be in the millions of dollars. I couldn't say for sure, but it wouldn't be a small savings. It would be a substantial savings. And to be honest, a lot of the savings are due to the fact that we have a richer plan. So co-pays might be more for them. They actually they pay the first $1,000 or $2,000 before they actually start to pay 100%. So there's things in the GIC that allow them to keep their rates low, but we would save significant dollars.
I just want to say that I've never had a problem. I've been on it for 10 years now, and I've never had a problem with it, so.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you. So our healthcare is basically self-funded. So the more we use it, then our employees using it. It's not Blue Cross paying. We're paying for people that illnesses. So now going to the GIC, we'd still be self-funded, but we would just have a lesser plan, more deductibles, higher co-pays for drugs. Am I getting this?
Partially, we wouldn't be self-funded. I mean, it's a premium-based plan, so basically what happens is they set the rates and we pay the rates. If they lose money or they make money, we don't pay more and we don't get to keep the savings. So if we run a self-insured fund like we do, if we have a good year, like believe it or not, we have pretty good years during COVID because we got a lot of reimbursement for the cost of the healthcare and other people weren't going to doctors. So we got up, I think we were up about $10 million of fund balance. Right. We're down to about 6 or 7 right now. We're probably going to end the year with about 3 or 4 million. So when we do good, we benefit, and when we do bad, we suffer. Premium-based plan, some of that risk, well, not some, all that risk is shifted to the insurer, the carrier, and kind of like property insurance. If they take a loss, they just jack the rates up on you. We have a little more control having it as a self-insured fund. We can hedge our bet a little if we know we have a surplus or a good year. But we would definitely just be paying a fixed rate for fixed costs, and we would be bound by the rate increases. Historically, they've been able to keep rates lower because they have more tools. They don't have to collectively bargain every time they make some adjustments. So they're able to control costs better. But certainly, it's no secret that it would cost the employee a little more money to have that plan. But in the case of retirees or healthy employees, so to speak, if they're paying 25% of, $25,000, $30,000, and they can pay 25% of $17,000, $18,000, they can actually realize some savings as well. But it's complicated because for every pro there's a con. So there's definitely some savings, but sicker people might pay more and healthier people might pay less. But it's but certainly if you just took dollar for dollar the cost of their plans versus the cost of our plans, there would be a savings.
And you can't do both. You have to be one or the other. You can't offer employees the GIC and still have this other plan.
No.
No.
You cannot. I mean, other than the retired teachers, they're in the GIC, and that's handled through the cherry sheet, and I don't have the specifics of that, but if you're a teacher and you retire and you're in that mass teacher retirement system, they partner with the GIC, so retired teachers automatically go on that, and that's handled, those expenses are handled through the Schedule 19 to the school department.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We will close the health insurance, FICA, property and casualty. Let's get those done.
Yeah, the other two within that 900 budget is the Medicare. Medicare is simply at 1.45% of all the salaries in the city. We do our best to find what that number would be and budget for it. So again, another fixed cost within there. And finally, like I spoke at the presentation, insurance premiums, $1.52 million for fiscal year 2026. Again, coastal community appreciation values from our buildings. We bring on new buildings like the fire station, and as such, that insurance premium is scheduled to go up 16% for fiscal year 2026.
Any questions in regards to FICA or casualty? All right, we will close that. And lastly, we have retirement and pension office.
Yeah, the retirement pension budget is simply the net amount that we need to contribute to the pension system to fund our share of the annual obligation via the actuary report through the state, through PARAC. When you see a reduction of $201,000, what that is that's simply us accounting for any grant-funded employees. We're able to take 9% of their salary and offset our pension obligation. So basically, I would say 95% of all of our grant employees, not only are their salaries funded, but we also try to ensure their health insurance and their pension obligations are funded within that grant, because otherwise you'll be absorbing recurring costs while funding a grant employee from there. So since I've been here, we've done a really good job with the help of my staff of saying, okay, if we have 3 grant-funded employees, say, in the planning department, all of their fringe benefits are covered within that grant, and if they don't cover them, then we usually don't hire them. So that's the reduction. It's not like we're cutting that fixed cost. We're just netting out the offsets from those grant-funded employees. So, and I can answer any questions otherwise.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? We will close that, and there's no further business today. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
The next meeting will be on Tuesday, June 10th, at 9 a.m.